Favourite comfort Doctor Who stories. Hello and welcome to another video. This week I thought I'd do a slightly different topic. I've seen some people kind of doing videos about their favourite comfort shows and their favourite comfort movies and even their favourite comfort horror movies. And I think those are all good ideas, and I might nick them for for my own videos in the future. But to kind of start that off, and since it's that time, I thought I'd do kind of like my favourite my favourite comfort Doctor Who stories. Now, I have to be honest and point out the obvious in that my favourite comfort Doctor Who stories are all classic stories. Let's be honest. Now, talking about comfort ones, a lot of my comfort ones are the ones that I saw very early. Though there are a few exceptions to that. There are ones I saw when I was older, but most of the ones I like when I saw when I was a kid, or very early to mid-teens. But again, it's not kind of necessarily exclusive to that, because let's face it, nostalgia and that does kind of play a part in a lot of your comfort things. It's not necessarily exclusively linked to that, because sometimes it can just be something that you just absolutely love and which makes you feel happy when you're doing it, and that's not necessarily exclusively linked to nostalgia, but certainly the things you loved as a kid, unless you look back at them and they're like really bad, they're the things you're going to have an extra special love for even as an adult. So with that in mind, I would say that, should I do 10, maybe 10 comfort Doctor Who stories? Yeah, okay, why not? Not in any particular order of preference, just 1 to 10. So for first one, I'd probably say like Spearhead from Space is definitely comfort Doctor Who. That was one of the earliest vids that I saw. One of the earliest stories I saw. I think it was probably not counting like the Five Faces ones which I saw when I was like 5 or 6 or something, which I don't remember, so I don't really count. Spearhead was like the first Pertwee story I ever saw, and I mean, it's a wonderful story. It's a fantastic story. Pertwee's great, the Brig's great, Liz is great, the Autons are great. It's just a great story with a great atmosphere and great music, and I mean, let's face it, it's the best looking classic Doctor Who story. Even on VHS, it looked great. It looks absolutely bloody jaw-dropping on Blu-ray, to the point of it. First, I think I've said this before, the first time I saw it, I was kind of distracted. I almost didn't enjoy the story as much, just because I was just so bloody distracted by the picture quality, because it's like, what the hell? It looks like an expensive 70s movie rather than Doctor Who. But yeah, I love Spearhead from Space. That's definitely one of my comfort ones. Several McCoy stories, I would say, are my comfort ones, because obviously that was my era when I kind of joined as a fan. Remembrance of the Daleks, that's definitely comfort food Doctor Who. Just such a perfect story and such fond memories of watching it at the time. Some of them, like Battlefield, is another comfort Doctor Who. It's not one of the absolute best McCoy stories, though it's certainly a lot better than some people would have you believe. But there's just something very comforting about it. Sylvester and Sophie, and having Nick Courtney there one last time as the Brig. That's very comforting. It's just a very likeable story. I guess some of the ones that like Earthshock and Attack of the Cybermen, they're comfort to Doctor Who stories, even though they're obviously very dramatic stories, and in some cases quite nasty. Because I saw them so young and so early, and I've seen them so many times, they really do just feel like snuggling under a warm blanket with a hot cup of cocoa. It's just not that you can do that in Queensland, but but yeah, there's just that feeling of comfort. I know them very, very, very well, and yet it's still enjoyable to just snuggle up and just enjoy them again. Indeed, I watched Earthshock just a few weeks ago for the first time in a few years. Still love it. Even with my criticisms of a lot of the Davison era, still love Earthshock. The War Games is probably, I would say, my prime pick for a Troughton comfort Doctor Who, because again, it's one I saw relatively early, and it's just so good because it's so long and yet never dull. It's something you can really just kind of relax into and enjoy, and it's so well made. You know, there's no kind of naff monsters or naff effects because it's all human villains, or humanoid villains, and you've got one of the best TARDIS teams, Pat and Jamie and Zoe, sexy little Zoe, just at their best, going out with a bang. It's very very much comfort food Doctor Who. 3 Doctors and 5 Doctors, I would say, would comfort Doctor Who as well, and Carnival of Monsters. Even though like Carnival is one I saw relatively late. I mean, I think I was in my 20s by the time I saw Carnival of Monsters, and yet it's still very much kind of a comfort Doctor Who story because it's just so fun. It's just so fun and so charming and so warm. Tom, of course, if I had a comfort era, it would be the Tom Baker era. Particularly, though not exclusively, the Williams era. I found that just a very comforting era. Stuff like Fang Rock and City of Death. A bit later on as well with State of Decay. That's very much a comfort story. And pretty much the whole of season 16 is like, to me, that's the epitome of comfort Doctor Who. You know, it's just so watchable, so enjoyable. I love the atmosphere, I love the characters. I love Tom and Mary at that point. Just yeah, that is, if there's a comfort entire season of Doctor Who, it has to be season 16, I think. And there are some earlier on in the Hinchcliffe era, like Terror of the Zygons, Talons. So yeah, I think those are my comfort Doctor Who stories, like War Games, Spearhead, 3 Doctors, Carnival, Zygons, Talons, Fang Rock, Sunmakers, whole of season 16, City of Decay, Earthshock, 5 Doctors, Attack, and like Remembrance and Battlefield. That's probably more than 10, but who cares? Anyway, that's my list of my favourite comfort Doctor Who stories. I may well do a comfort list of other things. Talk to you again soon. Bye for now.